We have started recording this session. In case if you have any questions, I missed to ask your feedback and questions. If you have any clarifications from the yesterday's session, after completing this quiz, you can go ahead and ask me. Kindly raise your hands if you are done with the quiz. Thanks, Susma.
Yeah, Mr. Tad. Hello.
Okay, we got one more. Anshu, good. Okay, great. We have a response from two participants. I think we can proceed further. Let's look into the answers. The first question, data quality is performed if quality of data is good, bad, good as well as bad. If you remember yesterday's discussion, the driver for data quality is not good data or bad data. Driver of data quality is the requirement on the data. So good or bad depends on the context of the requirement. As such, there is no good data or there is no bad data in any application or in any organization. If the data is fitting your purpose, it's always good. Same data which was fitting purpose for some reason may not fit for the purpose of some other requirement, and same data may be called as bad data. So this is the nature of data. So we cannot say data is good or bad. It's all about the requirement. Second question, data quality is part dash initiative of data management framework. So basically, if you remember data management framework, this is a straightforward question. So data quality is part of the data assetization section of the data management framework. The third question, which data quality dimension checks the presence of data in the parent table? So basically, we are talking about the referential integrity check here. So it's about the integrity dimension where we check that the data present in the table, which is under subject of quality check, if there is any relationship of this table with the parent table, then the equivalent record must be present. The record which is referring to the records present in the child table must be available, it must be present, it must be active. So that is called integrity check in data quality dimension. The third question, it's a slightly scenario based question. On the employee table, it is important to business that individuals' ID numbers are captured accurately as they are used by HR. So we are talking about employees' ID number. Now the second sentence says here, every employee needs to have their number captured. So that means every employee must have their ID number, which is very normal. What DQ dimension would you use to assess the ID number column? Usually ID number columns are always having values, proper values, because that is the key column of the employee table. And there is no question on that. So, but if we were to assess this column using a data quality rule, then what dimension that rule would belong to? So this is completeness. We are checking completeness of a column. The fourth one is from the last part of our discussion yesterday. We discussed a lot on the data quality architecture types. So basically you have seen a process of rejection in the architecture diagram. The options here are reporting data quality architecture, key gating data quality architecture, or both. So basically in key gating data quality architecture, we have the rejection process. There is another architecture which is fixing architecture. So in that also we have a rejection process, but that is not the option here. So the correct answer is key gating data quality architecture. I hope you have got your answers right, and we can now proceed to the next part of the discussion. Okay. So there were a couple of slides which I thought it would be good to go through uh, before we discuss on the Informatica data quality tool. So the process of data quality. So in general, it is important to know that the whole cycle of data quality has a repetitive process. Its data quality is a program which has to keep running. So the whole cycle starts with the definition of data quality rules and goals. So now I will be talking with respect to the roles and responsibilities in the Informatica data quality. So basically yesterday we understand that the there is a role which analysts have that is more about the techno-functional role. So they work more closely with the business. They understand the business data. They understand the definitions of data as per the data quality stewards, because they are the one who interact with the data stewards of the organization, and they work as the data quality stewards. When I say data quality stewards, that means these analysts are responsible for the data, the observations, the results, the metrics generated by the data quality processes on the business data. So basically, these analysts, they are the ones who define the data quality rules in the system. So using Informatica Analyst, a analyst will be defining the data quality rule in the system. The data quality design and improvement process is being taken care by the developer, who actually uses the rules which are defined by the analyst to build the data quality jobs and procedures. The analyst will further collaborate with business users to and implement that rules. So once the data quality developer designs the data quality process, so analyst takes the actual results of the data quality, and then they collaborate with the business and users to implement the rules in the system. The next comes monitoring of the data quality versus the goals. That means once the rules are implemented in the system, the next step is to monitor the data quality levels on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis. So that monitoring part is being done through the scorecard component in IDQ, and that is again done by the analyst. Now, to measure and report the data quality. So once the monitoring is in place, the rules are implemented, everything is there, then basically to report the data quality, so there should be a reporting database where the results are saved. So based on that results and based on the requirements of the report, which the end user wants to see, so analyst is responsible for generating the data quality report. Now here it is written analyst is responsible for generating the data quality report, assuming that there is no BI system in place. So if an organization is having any team for building the BI reports and the KPIs, then obviously the BI team comes into the picture. Otherwise, the reports are being extracted directly from analyst into the Excel sheet. And we all know that Excel sheet itself has a lot of features to build the graph and the dashboards, and then it can be presented over there. So this is the whole process of data quality, which happens in general in any organization where we work for data quality. So same thing here, what you need to focus is that what are the activities to build the data quality rules. So obviously when we go for any data quality project, so now we need to think from the starting point, which is the bottom point. Yesterday we started talking about the data quality from top to bottom. We started with the standards, data management framework. We got into the data quality, and then we got into more details of the architecture and all things. So basically, we saw how we make the things work, why we need those things. Now we will be talking in detail about each and every component which is built by the developer. So data quality rules are is a component, is a piece of configuration item which is developed by the developer. They develop one data quality rule for one data quality uh, issue which they want to track and monitor. So it's about the data quality errors, the data quality violations, which comes as part of the requirement that the user will tell you that these are the data quality issues or errors which I want to track. And they also give you what are the weightage of the errors, so that using the weightage of the errors and the error messages, you can develop the data quality rules. And these weights of the errors will be used as the weights in the scorecard for calculating the overall data quality score. So it starts with the analyst who defines the data quality rules. Further, developer defines the improvement data quality process, and then the same thing which we saw in the previous slide. So it starts with profiling, development, collaboration, and then the monitoring part. Now coming into the IDQ. So as I have talked about it yesterday, let's review that same message again. The message here is that we have two roles in IDQ. If you are new to this system, if you are interested to further explore data quality area and the jobs under data quality, then you have to first decide for yourself whether you want to work as an analyst, whether you are closer to business, you are not much interested in the technical stuff, or you come from a technical programming background and you don't want to get into the business part. So the beauty of this Informatica data quality tool is that it separates the business layer, it separates the logical layers, the logical components from the physical components. So what I mean by logical component here is that the logical component here in context of data quality is the when you talk about the attributes, we will not talk about tables and field when we talk as an analyst. Our language will always say what are the business attributes, what are the business entities which we need to do the data quality check on. So we are talking on the business layer. So when we talk on the business layer, obviously the terms which you will use, the terminologies which you will use will not be the actual table name and column name, which is abbreviated and which is created in the database table. You will be using the business terminologies which are used actually by and understood by the business people, the people in the operations of the company. Those terminologies will be understood by the management staff in the company. So this is something which is at the conceptual level. So when we talk about the data quality rules are also a conceptual definition of the conceptual part of the attributes. So basically, that is something which is known in data quality as the business part of business metadata. So when we say business metadata, that means that is one of the part and property of the business metadata. So anybody who works on the data quality, as a data steward in the organization. So I believe you understand when I say this word data steward. So data steward is basically the owner. He's the administrator of the data. He understands the data in any application. So he or she will be able to also give and understand what are the applicable data quality checkpoints which has to be implemented for any business terms. So defining the data, profiling the data. So data profiling is about checking the content of the metadata. So when I say checking the content of the metadata, that means in a simple terms, data profiling is about you have some data in the table in the database. Now you are not technical person. You will not go down to the database and write down the SQL queries to see which columns are null, which columns are having which values. If you are from the development background, you will straight away open the SQL server window or Oracle client or anything, and you will start writing numbers of SQL statements in order to see what exists within the table, in order to get the information of the issues in the table. So obviously, if you give a table to any developer or technical person, the first thing they will do is they will do some sort of null check. They will do min value, max value of a column, and they will see numbers of statistics. They will be interested to see n number of statistics related to each and every columns of the table. So that is known as data profiling, because you are checking the data, you are assessing, checking the data, the content of the table, and you are coming up with some statistics on each and every column. This work of writing n number of SQL statements, logging into the database, and then doing all this stuff, this work has been made easy by Informatica Data Quality by providing you a browser based interface where you can just select your table, and then you can create a profiling job very easily, and then you just need to run the job from the browser itself, and then you get the entire report, the entire statistics on all column. So that is what is known as profiling report. Data validation rule, we already understand that in order to track any violations in data quality, the data quality rule component has to be built. So this is something, again, it's part of definition of data quality rule, and that is to be done by Informatica Analyst. Reference data management. This is one very important module of data quality, Informatica data quality. We didn't discuss about reference data management in yesterday's session, because the yesterday's session was more on the concepts of the data quality itself. So one of the concept of data quality, if you remember, we discussed was about standardization of data. So when we talk about standardization of data, reference data management is one of the subject which comes under this concept. So reference data, I can give you an example. Like you will have, again, multiple applications within an organization. And for example, if you have two different applications dealing with certain different objectives and different maybe you have one application where you uh, want users to register for some services. So obviously when user register for some services, he may have to enter some personal information, and among his personal information may be some values, reference values, maybe his marital status. So now, what are the applicable marital status? So normally, when any user enters to register through the web-based interface, they will have some fields where they don't need to write the in the text box. They may have to select from the drop-down box. So the drop-down list which you see in any web page, in any form, the values which are present in the drop down list, whether it is list of countries, list of currencies, list of usually in the gender column, you will have that list, you will have marital status. So you just need to select one of the following or one or more of the following. So this is something known as the reference data. In simple layman terms, you can, as of now, you can just understand this point by saying that list of values. So list of values always comes with a code, set of codes. Now, when you talk about list of values, and just assume that you are getting into two different sites, you are getting into two different websites of same company, and somehow there is a scenario that you have to select, yeah, some reference information, maybe your nationality in the first form, and if you visit the second one, you are selecting the nationality again. So now you can there can be many, it always happens in practical implementation that an organization, when they start developing the applications one after another, they do, these applications come up organically. That means people don't think at the time of development. They will give the project to, maybe to develop one application, they will give to some other vendor, another one they will develop it in house. So they, that at that point of time when people are building the applications for their organization, they, standardization of data and consolidation of data, making sure that entire data quality of the organization is following the standard, this is not their objective. Their objective is that the purpose for which I am building the application, that application should do that purpose, should be able to meet that purpose. This is their main objective. So somehow this is, this happens everywhere. Somehow the standardization and all these things are not of high priority when you start building applications in parallel and all. So there is very high chance that the list of value which you maintain for one application will be different list, and the list of value which you maintain for another application in same organization, it will be another list, though the list will mean the nationality only. Maybe in the first application the nationality you will show as, for Indian you will show as IND, and you will represent with some 3 character codes. In the second application, the when you started doing the development, you used to use some other standards, you use the complete name of the country, you use INDIA India, SAUDI Saudi Arabia, and so on. So what happens is that conceptually you mean same thing, nationality there also and nationality here also, but you are using the list of values different in one application and another application, it is different. Now think from the reporting angle. Now when you see from the reporting angle, you cannot report a country code as IND and a country as India as two different values. It has to be consistent. In the report, it has to show either IND or INDIA India, or with some other value which is, replacing both the values at the source layer. So this work of standardization, where you take the list of values from different applications and then you standardize this with the set of valid values. By valid values in context of data quality means the value which is selected by the business in order to do the reporting. So that is known as reference data management. And Informatica Data Quality has explicitly this component available. And Informatica Analyst, it is their responsibility to manage the list of values in the reference data management component. The fourth thing which Informatica Analyst responsibility is data quality scorecard. We will be seeing data quality scorecard, which is basically the metrics. So after defining the rule, after running the rule, the next step is to measure the data quality level. So when it comes to measuring the data quality level, of course, the first step is to classify the rules into the dimensions and then assign the weightage of the rules and then calculate the score per each dimension. So that way we represent the score to the end user, saying that your completeness score is so and so percentage, your accuracy score is so and so percentage, your consistency score is so and so percentage, and so on. So far, all these things are related to the concepts of data quality applied on the business, and entire thing is in one word known as business metadata of the organization. So business metadata with respect to data quality is managed by the Informatica analyst. I believe as a newcomer to the data quality and data management domain, now you are very clear in terms of what are the responsibility of Informatica analyst. And it is very important for you to understand if you are interested to explore more into this and do some in future, if you want to do any job or you want to work, take up projects of data quality, you must understand what the role of Informatica, what the role of data quality analyst is. And this is a very good job role, which any functional person can take up. Anyone from the background, any business they have, they are interested more on the business part of the organization, they can take up this role. They don't need to get into the codes and programmings and all those stuff, because the actual the logics which are built here, these logics are actually implemented by the Informatica developers at the database level. So now the next part of this slide, which is in blue, and the responsibilities of Informatica developers, which is mentioned over here. So now we will just talk a bit about Informatica developers. So Informatica developers are basically people who are from the ETL background. The Informatica analyst need not be from the ETL background. They did not know, they did not need to understand what is data source, what is the staging area, what is the target, all those architecture part which we have seen yesterday. That is more to do with the Informatica developer, less to do with the Informatica analyst. Informatica analyst, they have to engage with business. Engaging with business, understanding the business data, this is important for Informatica analyst. But the developer, they have to understand the data landscape of any organization. So most of the time, 90 to 95% of the cases, anyone who has a prior experience in building ETL using any technology, if he is a Informatica Power Center developer, that means he knows how to build the ETL job using Informatica Power Center. He has the understanding of source, target, staging, and all this stuff. He knows how to translate a source to target, column to column mapping, and applying translation, and then finally loading into the target. If you have this knowledge, then you are in the best position to work as an Informatica developer. So this is a purely developer role, and as a developer, you will never be interested to invest time in understanding business definitions, terms, and all this stuff. So all these things are managed by the analyst using Informatica Analyst client. And what developer gets is, what he needs to know is that how do I map my physical table and physical column with the business metadata which Informatica Analyst has given to me. So this is the part which Informatica developer has to start with. Once they do the mapping between the business layer and the technical field, technical metadata, they are in position to start building the jobs. They are the one who makes the concept work on the ground, as I mentioned yesterday. So part of data standardization, that means cleansing and fixing the data. This is done by the Informatica developer through the Informatica developer client. Parsing and matching. So, on event, if you want to assess and if you want to see what are the duplicate records in my system, what are the duplicacies in the database and all. So this you need to do matching. So this matching transformation. So everything is a transformation for an Informatica developer. By transformation, it means that Informatica makes the ETL design easy by providing a user interface, which I will show in the next slide. So by providing a user interface which helps you to match which helps you to apply any kind of logic on the business field. A transformation can be a filter applied on any data set. So you will have something as a filter. Transformation can be expression, transformation can be an aggregator. So all these stuff are totally technical thing. I don't want to discuss on that until and unless we actually look into the tool in detail. Exception handling we saw yesterday in the architecture diagram. So that exception handling is actually built by the Informatica developer. There is nothing which Informatica analyst has to configure that. Data consolidation, once you have identified duplicates by doing the matching process, then the next thing which comes into the picture is consolidation of data. For example, you found duplicates in ID number. Now you will have multiple fields for that ID number for first record and second record, and then you need to run a consolidation process. You need to run a consolidation on each and every field in order to decide which of the value will survive in the final single record. So this is known as the consolidation process. There are many techniques of consolidation which we can, we can go through if we are having a dedicated session for Informatica Developer, that is for the technicals. Troubleshooting issues, most of the troubleshooting areas, that means the database related errors, the server related issues and performance issues, lots of things are there which comes under the scope of Informatica Developer. Analyst is free from all these ground level things because analysts are business focused and developers are not business focused. So developers are having all these things. They have to take care of each and everything apart from this building the mappings and the components for consolidation, exception, and all these things. And one thing which I didn't mention here in this slide, that is the building the ETL job itself. That means the source to target mapping and all this thing, because that is part of the whole process, irrespective of whether you are doing a data integration process or you are doing a master data management process or you are doing a data quality process. So whatever you do, you have to have that ETL part as a base. ETL part is always a base. So you will always have to read the data from some database, and then you will always have to transfer that, apply some logic. So while you are applying the logic, that is where comes the differences, that you are using the functions of master data, you are using the functions of data quality, or you are using the functions of a normal data integrator. So this is where these subject areas becomes difference, because each and every capabilities are different. So now let's see the next part, which is profiling. We already talked about profiling right now. So basically the input data, it can be from the file, it can be from the database, it can be from any other systems apart from file and database, maybe XML file. So there can be any form of inputs which can be provided to Informatica data quality. So there is a way of importing these files and the data from the database and all these things, which you will see in the practical sessions. So data, the purpose of this slide here is to understand the objective of doing profiling. So objective of doing profiling, analyst can use data profiling to identify problems in data. So as I mentioned that when you have any data in your subject of discussion, so obviously the first thing without without any delays, you would always like to know that what exists in the table. So when it comes to what exists in the table, you will not like to go through each and every record of the table. So if it is a table with 10 to 20 record, there is no need of talking about profiling. You can simply go through the record manually and then you can see in the file. But what if the records are in millions and thousands and 10,000s and so on? You will not see each and every record. You will always prefer to have the detailed profiling report. So the first skill which you will learn in the IDQ as an analyst is how to profile the data. And after profiling data, how to read the profile and pass the message to the data stewards. When you talk to the business, how do you pass those message to the business people and make them explain that these are the problems in data. So if they are giving any kind of requirement, or if they are making any kind of ideas for any kind of data products or any kind of reports or dashboards, they need to understand what is the health of the data, what is the status of each and every attributes. So we cannot talk about an attribute called salary. We cannot talk about an idea of building a report on salary bands and so on, whereas in your file or in your database, the salary column is totally null or zero. So this is where profiling comes into the picture before you do any kind of data value realization. So if you see from my previous, from our last day's slide, we already talked about that before value realization, before usage of data, assetization of data is one important fundamental part. So this is where data quality being part of assetization, this is where profiling comes into the picture. And if you have this profiling reports on each and every data sets, then the people who are talking about using the data, generating value from the data, they will come closer to data and they will know the reality first. So it's as simple as that. People who bring ideas, they are dreamers, they will see the dream, but dream has to connect to reality in order to be fulfilled. So this profiling report will show you the reality, that how the data is, what you are getting, what you need to focus on. If you have certain fields which are important for you to generate some products or reports or do something else, then do you need to source those information from the right source? Do you need to have some partnership with any stakeholders to get those data in the right form so that you can fulfill your dreams? So this is how we do the business on the data. And this is where, as an analyst, having the skill of profiling the data, skill of profiling data is not that a big task. It's just about creating a job and then running that job. But interpreting the reports, understanding the profiling report, and then translating it, scheduling the meeting with the business people and making them understand that these are the problems in the data. So this is the skill which a experienced analyst should have. Second part is that when you populate the analyst can profile the data, share their finding with the developers. So this is, we discussed, identify specific quality problems, we discussed, build and apply business rule to identify and resolve issue in the data. So most of the time profiling is also done because when sometimes the business will not give you the business rules, they don't know what business rule to give in order to check the data quality. Then you have to proactively profile the data, and then you need to come up with some rules saying that, okay, this kind of scenario should not exist in the data. So if this is existing, that means we need to uh, impact the data quality score with that, so that the data quality will be fixed. Now, one thing which I forgot to mention yesterday, it's a very important point which you need to understand about data quality. We always we always make a practice of uh, fixing the data quality at source. Now, what do I mean by fixing data quality at source? For example, you are a company, you are having some external partners or stakeholders who is submitting to you data on daily basis. Or you are a company, you are having multiple application, the operational systems, which is generating data by day-to-day operations. Now you want to build some reports, or you want to do any kind of trend analysis, or you need to do any kind of data product building on the data. Now, obviously, from our lessons yesterday, we know data quality is one of the important function which has to pitch in before you generate any use of any data. Even you are building any AI related project or anything to train your data, you need to first do the data quality. So now you did data quality, you found that there is some issue in that. What next? What will you do? Will you communicate this issue to, obviously yes, you will communicate these issues to the relevant stakeholders, the people who have given you the requirement, you will tell them the data issues. But who should fix the issue? Are you the one you will fix the issue as a data quality team, or as a data quality analyst? Is it your responsibility to fix the issue, or whose responsibility it should be? So the answer is that, which is again coming from the standards, and this is accepted by the frameworks and the standards, and every policy in every organization says data should be fixed by the source. That means person who is giving you the file, the organization or stakeholder who is sharing the data with you, has the responsibility to fix the data. So it's your responsibility to highlight the data quality scores and issues and violations, and have some mechanism of sending those things, we call it feedback or observations of data quality, to the person or to the stakeholder who has submitted the data to you, so that in the next run, so obviously if there is a stakeholder submitting the data or application which is generating the data for you, so that application has to undergo some sort of fixing. They have to undergo some sort of change request, so that in future they will not submit the data again with the same issue. If they are submitting the data again with the same issue, then you need to again report that. So any issue which is happening consistently for, say, for 6 months continuously or 3 months continuously, then this kind of issue gets escalated to the higher management on both sides, the stakeholder side and your side. So this is how the business of data quality works. So you as a analyst, it's your responsibility to highlight the issue and also make sure that these issues are communicated effectively to the providers of the data. So the providers of the data, it becomes their responsibility to fix in the next run. And then when your process runs again, when they submit the data, you must see that those issues which you have captured has gone. It should not be the repetitive issue. So basically, so these are the things which are very, very important to understand before we, I mean, get into the actual skills of creating the profile. We should be very, very clear on why we are doing these things. Use the output of profile to build or update reference table. So obviously, when you profile on certain columns, suppose you are profiling on the gender code or currency unit of measure or anything, and you find that in the table the unit of measure is null. For example, you are having a table related to any kind of equipments. In any utility company, you are having list of some transformers or this and etc., any kind of equipments, and then you have some sort of dimensions or something, I mean, stored as an attribute of that, and you don't have the unit of measure only. So obviously, unit of measure is not there. You will throw this error to the application team who is submitting you such kind of data about the equipment, or to the people, I mean, who is responsible to share with you the files of or the equipments, etc. and etc. So now it is their part, their responsibility to have those reference values shared with you, and then the unit of measure shared in the column, so that you know that I mean, the first issue, the unit of measure should be filled. Another point, why we have reference table along with the profile. So the reference table should have those unit of measure as well. So that when you validate your data, when you profile your data, the values which are present in the unit of measure should be the reference values. It should not be some XYZ. You are talking about length. Instead of meter, you are getting the length in, say, square meters. It should not be illogical. So unit of measure means it should be accurate. And where are such kind of standards maintained in the system? It's in the reference table. So this is where reference table gets connected with the profile. Third is the rules. Rules also get connected with the profile. So profile is not just about, you check null value in the column, max value in the column, min value in the column, or this kind. It's not only about that. Checking the standard statistics of any column is called column profiling. But there is something called business rule profiling. That means in the profile, you can add your logics, you can add your statements. Maybe you are profiling a list of employees and you want to highlight in the report that any employee in my organization who is having salary more than 50,000 real or having salary more than 3 lakh INR. I want to highlight those employees in my profiling report, because my purpose of this profiling report is to show to the HR or some management here and there that what kind of information you get here. So this is a kind of a business information you want to get from the profile report, or there can be many other such kind of requirements you have. So all these things can be built as a rule, and this rule can be attached to the profile when you are running. And then when the profile report gets generated, then for each and every rule which you have written in the profile, you will get the results in the report that, okay, you have written that the salary of the individual should not be more than 50,000 reals. So, sorry, salary more than 50,000. So you need to segregate. If salary is more than 50,000, you need to say yes or no. Maybe some sort of flagging you have to do. So if salary more than 50,000, say as highly paid. If less than 50,000, say as okay, normal. So now what happens that this in the report, it will show you normal equal to this many percentage, highly paid equal to this many percentage. That means report gives you the statistics that, okay, this percentage of the values are having normal salary, this percent of values are having the high salary. And what is this normal, what is this high? This is something which you have written in your rule. Where you have written rule from? Rule you have written after having discussion with the data stewards, with the business people who wants to validate the data. So this is how rule gets connected with the profile report. Then comes scorecard reports. That means scorecard is the fourth object of Informatica data quality, which runs hand in hand with the profile. So once you have the rules, once you have the profile report, now obviously when you create a profile, when you create profile is kind of, it's a kind of a configuration item. It's a kind of a job which gets created in the IDQ. Now you will keep on running this profile on daily basis. Maybe there will be requirement from the requester that I want this profile to be run every month on my HRMS, on the employee salary database, or anything. I want this to be run on monthly basis, or on that equipment table I want this to be run on monthly basis, so that I know that my suppliers and all whatever data they are sharing to me, is it a good quality data or not. So when you run these things on monthly basis, daily basis, then you need to tell them a summarized information, some quantified information. Now, someone who is not at the level of the managers, not at the level of senior managers, someone who is at a chief level or department director level, head level, they don't have time to go through your profile report, or they will not have time to go through the detailed report with you. So what you will give to them, but they will be always interested to know that the quality of information which exists in so and so system, whether this is good quality, yes or no. What will be the thing which you will provide to such kind of chief or director level people who is interested to know about the quality of data? So the answer is you need to quantify the data quality uh, results. When I say you need to quantify the data quality results, that means you need to tell that so and so stakeholder, or so and so supplier, or so and so application where the data is, we did the validation of data. Now, according to the validation, according to my methodology of calculating score, the score of the data from such system is equal to 90%. So this 90% matters to the people who are at high level. So with this 90%, they get an understanding that, okay, 90% of the information in this application is correct. With the trust, with the assumption that the people who are actually working, who are actually defining the rule, the analyst who is actually configuring the rule in the system, is configuring the correct thing across everywhere, and then they are giving the judgment on the quality of the data. So data quality scorecard is a component of Informatica data quality, which is configured using Informatica Analyst. It is a responsibility of an Informatica Analyst, data quality analyst, and this component generates and calculates the scores. So that's about, we have talked a complete thing about the Informatica Analyst with this slide. Let's see few more slides for today. Standardization of data. So standardization of data is something which you do the process of standardization of data, it's more to do with the fixing of the data. So it comes under the fixing architecture, and you do the standardization of data using the data quality tools. And this data quality tool is basically the developer tool. It's not the analyst tool. So now here, what are the kind of thing we do here? We convert the data to standardized format. So this is very clear statement. Parsing the data. So most of the time you will see addresses and names submitted by or generated by some applications. Maybe addresses, you will have a street name, pin code, everything in one column. We call it unstructured. Name can be unformatted name. You will have title, surname, middle name, all the long name in one field. So parsing has many techniques. Anybody who will be working as an Informatica developer, he has to understand what are the techniques of parsing the data. So if you are able to parse the data correctly, if you are able to apply the correct logic of parsing, then you will be able to convert the unformatted data, unstructured field, the data unstructured. I'm not saying unstructured data. I'm saying the field which is unformatted, unstructured in having the unstructured, unformatted data. You can parse those field and you can create proper structured column. So this is the benefit of parsing the data, and this is one of the very, very important function of a data quality. If anybody saying that I am a data quality developer and he is not having the skills or understanding of parsing the data, parsing is again, it's a transformation. It can be achieved using the standardization transformation. So you must be able to do this. Most of the time people come and people get the projects and they will say that, okay, fine, this kind of activity, this has to be done through some Python and this has to be done through some AI techniques and etc etc, but that's not the case. There are 80 to 90% of parsing which can be achieved very easily using such kind of data quality tools. Convert multi-domain field into single domain, as it's the reverse way. Basically, you are having the fields which are uh, available across multiple domains, and maybe some here domain can be technical field domain, something in string or something in numeric value or something in this. And domain can also mean that you are fetching from different business domains and all. So basically you can merge the things together. Remove noise is very important feature. That means you want to beautify the data. Maybe you are capturing some information from some logs or some from feeds of social media or something else. You are an advertising company and you are getting some feed from elsewhere, and those feeds, obviously they will be having the correct information. Maybe they are having some logging information, that which user is logging at what point of time, what kind of information they are viewing in so and so site, and all these things. So this log information will be having lots of noise. When I say lots of noise, that means it will have so many mm, characters which are special characters, or some sort of commas, or some sort of space, white lines, and something else in between the data and the file. So data quality tool helps you to clean such noise. It will help you to make the file cleaner, so that it can be processed in a good way and you can get the required information, capture the required information in the table. Remove, replace bad, inconsistent data, that is part of the noise. Develop range of reusable data, standardization process. So reusable data, range of reusable data means you make sure that you are getting the values from, for example, for countries, you are getting maybe cities. You are getting the list of values in every record for the cities. Now there may be value of city and the value is written as TARIQ, Tariq. Obviously this is illogical, it cannot be. So you can define the range of values, that okay, fine, the list of values for city should be this. If anything other than that coming, you can make it null, you can make it some default city or something. So that is called standardizing the by using the range of reusable data. Now, validate addresses. So address validation, this is an important function. So mostly it is related to the geographic location of any country. So every country has their own address parsing mechanism. I mean, not mechanism, basically the piece of parsing code which is specific to the country. So that is called token basically. So if token is purchased by any organization, so mostly the organization dealing with the delivery and all, they always use this parsing token. So what happens is that if you use this token in your data quality process, then any information which is coming to you like pin number, street number, or street name, or all this stuff, these can be validated very easily. So because if there is, so it validates very clearly based on the geography of that in that geographic location, that so and so street ABC, if street number 30 is not present under street ABC, then it will it can cross check immediately and it can make that data valid or invalid, pin code number against the street and city and all this stuff. So this is basically the address validation component. So IDQ provides this address validation validator, but again, address validator doesn't work on its own. There should be some sort of parsing technology or token there. Collaborate with analyst in rule development. So collaboration with the analyst in developing the rule. Obviously, that is part of the standardization. Matching is another component. So these are all key and important components of uh, data quality. So it is done using the developer tool. So matching is some a assessment process. It is the way to assess the duplication. So basically, when we talk about duplicates, we should have a logic to first compare the two records. So match the data within the data set, identify the duplicates. So obviously there should be a basis on which you should say something is duplicate. If you don't have that basic or that baseline based on which you will say something is duplicate or not, then it is difficult to come to the conclusion. So that basis or that logic which is built is known as the matching logic. So you basically match between the record using that rules, and then you come up with the potential duplicates. Or if you have 100% trust on your matching rules, then you will call it as your confirmed duplicate values. So either of this. So basically organizations, they always prefer that, okay, based on certain fields, they will say that you need to do the quality check on the data and make sure and tell me that whether the duplicates are there or not. This is where you need to build the matching rules. You need to gather the requirement for the matching rule. So matching rules can be uh, specialized matching for identity data, specialized matching algorithm for each type of field. So there are again many techniques comes into the picture here. So when we do the full detail practical on this matching transformation, that time you will come across many options and configurations on how to match the data. Consolidation is something which is done after you conclude that your matching algorithm has come up with the duplicate things. Now, once you have the duplicates identified, the next goal or the target is to have the single golden record. So when question comes to make the golden record, we say golden record means you are having multiple copies within the same data set as duplicate, or you may have copies coming from multiple systems, source systems. So all these copies has, and they are identified as duplicates, maybe from system A, B, C. From three systems, you are getting same ID number, and with different other values of the field, you are getting it. And you find that the matching rule has identified them as potential duplicates. Now comes consolidation logic. There is a transformation for consolidation, which a developer has to work with. He links all the matching records, and then he configures the criteria to consolidate the fields which needs to survive, which value needs to survive, which of the system needs to be prioritized in order to consolidate the record. So basically, after consolidation, we get one single record with the most, we can say, best version of the truth. So we never say that the golden record means the correct record. Golden record can be wrong record also, because in data quality terms, the correct record is always the record which matches the real world. That is correct. The record which matches the actual document, that is the correct record. We never claim that we have done data quality, we have done standardization, we have done consolidation. Now the record which has come, that is the best record and that is the correct record. This is the wrong statement. We always say that our golden record is the best version of the record we can have. So by this, we never claim on the accuracy of the data. So accuracy is not something which we work here. We just try to make the thing the best version by applying some logic and some applying some techniques there. So that is called golden record, and that we achieve after matching and consolidation process. Now getting bit detail into the user interface. So this is a developer user interface which you will see in our tool when we connect to the tool and show you. Obviously, in the tool we will not be going through the entire process of development and showing each and every transformation, but we can show you the key components and all this in as part of the overview of IDQ. But details, it is something which has to be taken up separately. So maybe we can have another session and all. If you are interested, if we have participants, then we can have sessions where we talk specifically about each and every transformation. So that is too much detail. But right now it's a awareness session and you need to know what the things are. So this is how a developer user interface looks like. If you have question in your mind, what is mapping, what is ETL, the one which you see in the workspace editor here, this is how the ETL job looks like. So if you look at this job, obviously you can see there is a read, there is something you are reading from the source. And if you go to the last part of this mapping, you will see something which is being written. There is a write. So you can see the mouse which I am positioning here, something which is written as write, something which is known as read. And in between, you are applying all these transformations and logics and etc., everything. And finally, you come to a data set which is applied all the data quality checks and rules and etc. and all these things. So in a very short way and quick way, for people who are looking into this for the first time, let me give you a brief overview of how this screen looks like. What we see in this screen, basically, what you see, it's a thick line. You have the object explorer. If you have used any kind of tool, I mean, you use any kind of business intelligence tool or data modeling tool, if you are coming from any background, to manage, you will always see something called object explorer. Object explorer tells you what are different objects which are configured in this environment. So same way, in the developer tool also gives you that for a developer what matters is that, okay, what is my folder where I am developing all my things. So folder, basically, for a developer or for an analyst, folder is very important because you arrange your work in a folder. Why and how do we create folder, with what context we create folder? It is based on the projects. So you get project 1, you will create folder for project 1. You get another project, you get project 2, you will create another folder. There is no as such naming standard for folder that you need to keep such a so and so name. You can keep any name as per your project, as per your requirement. As far as you as a developer and analyst, you are able to identify the project with the folder, the name. It should not be that after 10 days you forget what was this created for. So it should be something meaningful, logical. So the moment you create folder, like in this example, someone has created a folder called content. Now this folder exists under something called MRS underscore SVC underscore this. So this, I mean, for now, you can just, I mean, have, it's a central repository. You can just keep this information, like it's a centralized repository tool. So whatever you create in this tool, it is managed and it is stored in a centralized repository, and that centralized repository is known as model repository. So model repository is nothing but whatever drawings and all you are seeing here, these drawings are saved in form of a, I mean, in form of a database content, and that is stored in any database which is configured behind this product. So that database repository name is being shown here. The model repository name is being shown here. So basically, whenever you create any kind of folders or anything, you create it under a model repository. Now, under that folder, you can see many subfolders. So these subfolders are nothing but it can be project, a component within project, and that way. So like in Windows, you can create folder under folder as per your need. So Informatica also allows you to create folder in a very, I mean, easy way. And there is nothing big here to create folder. It's just right click and new folder. That's it. Now, what is important to see here is that under a folder, what do we have? So basically under a folder, we store the screenshot is very hazy here. I mean, I cannot, maybe you will not be able to see it very clearly, but what we have here is that what are the set of tables, what are the set of mappings you have created for the tables, what are the set of rules analyst has created for these fields. So everything will appear in front of you in the Object Explorer. Now, as a developer, what do you do? Now, initially, before showing this interface, I mean, 2, 3 slides back, I told you one very important point, that a developer has to, the starting point of a developer's work is end point of a analyst work. So analyst, what they do, analyst will create the rule, they will define the rule, and then they will leave it there. They will create the reference table, they will create the data sets, they will leave it there. Now it is actually the developer who has to utilize that rules, developer who has to use those reference tables in order to build, to fix, to do quality check, to do the gating project or reporting project or any kind of project on data quality. So they have to use those objects. Now those objects which analyst has created using their own interface, now again this tool has that capability that whatever logical object is created by analyst, those objects will be available in front of you, in front of developer, in his folder. So there is nothing called like I have developed this, it is kept in so and so place, you need to bring it from that place and import it here. It's nothing like that. Whatever analyst creates, it's also saved in the same model repository. Whatever developers create, that is also saved into same model repository. A developer can reuse something which is created by an analyst. An analyst can reuse something which is created by developer if it is helpful for them. So this is called collaboration. Developer, a technical person, his role responsibility is separated from analyst. Analyst role responsibility is separate, but they work on a collaborative environment, and that collaborative environment is provided by Informatica Data Quality, and that is the license they sell to the people. This is one of the key feature. They provide a collaborative platform. Outline view is basically whatever object you have selected here in the Object Explorer. So here someone has selected the mapping, and this mapping, what all things are there content within the mapping, all those lists are available here. So when you work and create as a developer, it is basically each and every transformation has to be configured. Like I was talking about the filter transformation or standardization transformation, or doing some parsing or anything. So where you will actually write the logic, how to parse or how to filter or this. So basically you have a window here at the bottom, which is a properties window. So properties window is something you can, which it gives you a very good user interface to, to write down your rules and things. And it has, I mean, for a developer, they have to follow certain syntax of Informatica. So as a syntax, it's not a very tough syntax. It's a simple English understandable syntax. Yeah, it's not a very core programming script or anything they need to write, like PL SQL packages or shell script, nothing like that. It's one or two statement, which is very easy. And once you write down the rules and things in the properties, you view the data. When you view the data, you can see that after your rules are applied, after the things are applied, how will the data look like. So this is something like at the time of development, when you apply some things, some logic, in parallel, quickly you can check in the data viewer. Data viewer will pick up few record. If your table 100 or 50 records, and based on 150 record, it will show you that whatever you have created here, what will be the result. So with this, the developer gets the confidence that whatever he is developing correct as per his thought. Otherwise, what would happen is that he will develop the entire mapping, and then when mapping runs, he will come to know with the big surprise, and he will not be able to trace even that because of which transformation or at which stage my things has gone wrong. He will not know. So he must have something called data viewer and properties hand in hand. In the properties window, he will write that, okay, fine, this is the logic, this is the thing which I intend to do in this transformation. And quickly they will use data viewer to see this whole, I mean, thing you see here in the user interface. Collaboration, which I already talked about, high level of collaboration exists window. As I mentioned earlier, this is a browser based window. And an analyst doesn't have any tool to work. I mean, sorry to say that. I mean, they have a tool, of course, Informatica Data Quality, but the user interface is the browser. So they don't have any thick client as a developer. So developer has to install a client called Informatica Developer, and then only they can start their work after logging into that. But for analysts, they can log in from anywhere, provided they have access to that link, that they have that required firewall access and everything. They can straight away link, right, I mean, type that URL or thing over the address bar, and then your page will open and you can do all your stuff from the web page itself. So when we open the tool, you will learn about how to profile and scorecard and rules and all this stuff from the browser. Scorecard in DQ lifecycle. This is just an informative thing for you. Already we talked about it. Data quality improvement requires measurement of target data quality versus achieved data quality. So what is target data quality? What is achieved data quality? So basically in scorecard, you can configure your target data quality, which is like it provides you a section where you can say that if my data for say any dimension or anything, my score is over 95, then I will call it good. So this is as per the data quality standards from the DAMA and EDM Council framework, that you need to categorize your data as good, fair, and poor. So scorecard is always tied with the requirement. And finally, when you deliver the metrics, it's not only the percentage, there should be some categorization. So by default, what IDQ provides is that anything which scores more than 95% in data quality is green. So it will scorecard will show in green. Anything which is less than 95 and more than 90%, it will show fair. Anything which is less than 90% till zero, it will show in red, it is poor. This is default configuration, but again, when you implement this scoring thing in the any organization, you have a flexibility to change as per the organization need. The organization where I work, they call anything below 95% as poor. That is their standards. So when I was asked to configure the scorecard for them, then what I configured is that instead of 89% as poor or below 90 as poor, I configured that anything below 95% will be called as poor data quality. And then they define their range as good data quality is something more than 98%, less between 98 to 95 should be fair and all this stuff. So this is, I mean, customizable, and any organization can have the target data quality set as per their need. Achieved data quality is something which after the ETL job runs and the total number of valid records versus invalid record, all these things gets calculated and percentage gets calculated, then the actual data quality gets score gets calculated based on the on this one. What is that known as? That based on the data and the rules. I mean, what is the violation and all these things. That is the actual score. Now, scorecard facilitates the ongoing measurement of the target versus actual data in the mappings are implemented. So this is another just an information for you. So define data quality targets, data quality enhancement, mapping, and implement, and these are the steps. Just a view on the scorecard. We have talked a lot about scorecard and what are the dimensions on the scorecards. So this is how a scorecard looks. This is a data quality scorecard, which is the output of IDQ. So all what we have been talking about, validating data, reference table, target scores, and those. So this is what finally IDQ gives you. So basically, when you configure the rules, when you assign weightage to the rules, then for each rule, it will calculate. Now, how this thing gets calculated, I can show you in an Excel sheet so that you understand the concept of calculation, and it will be easy for you to build the scorecard also. But right now in this slide, you just what you need to understand is that these green colors are something which is configured more than 90%, 95% something. So you see the rules here. Rules are coming as completeness rules are defined here, and it is under the dimension of completeness. So here you are having almost some 6 to 10 to rules out here. Now what it is showing here is that total number of record it has validated. So it is 10 whatever. And then out of that invalid record is, this is the number of invalid record, and this is the score for this rule. So basically it's like giving marks. You have 100 marks paper. Out of 100 marks, you have got maybe 80. So your 80% is your score for so and so subject. So this is as simple as that calculation. So you get this, and then you have something called error weight. So error weight means within a dimension, if you have 5 rules, then each rule will have its own weightage out of 5 or out of 10. That is scale dependent on the organization. So basically, we configure the error weight as 1 to 5. We say we will give 5 weightage to something which is highly critical, 4 weightage to something which is critical, 3 to high, sorry, critical, high, medium, low. So we give normally 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the weights, error weights, which we give basically. So error weight, basically it helps us, some rules will be very, very critical. You will give high weight. So when you calculate the percentage at the dimension level, that weighted average will be taken care. So weight will be whatever weight you assign to the rule, the as per that weight, the accurate percentage will be calculated at the dimension level. If you don't assign any weight to the rule, if you say that everything is 1111 or 55 constantly same number, then by default IDQ will do a simple average, and then it will give you the overall percentage. So this is how the scorecard looks: completeness, conformity, accuracy. You can configure different dimensions, and these are the color codings and all this stuff. So end of the slides. Now we will. I mean, we have. I have been. This is the first session, so I am still checking the status of installation of Informatica IDQ server in my local system here. So basically, my target was to have the training environment up and ready today to show you. But I mean, in one way, it is good also because straight away jumping into the tool and showing you the things would not make much sense. So we have talked a lot about, I mean, introduced you to this scorecard and profiles and all these things. So I believe you take some time to, understand this. We will take some 15 minutes break now. After 15 minutes break, we will just, I mean, see how do we design the rule and what is the concept of, I mean, what are the important things which you capture when you define the rule for any organization, data quality rules. So we will just work on that in an Excel sheet. And within that time, if we find that this installation is complete and this download and installation is complete, then we can look into the Informatica system itself. Otherwise, I mean, we will be having upcoming sessions in the coming week, our partner EmergenTeck. So if you are interested to see the tool and go through all these things in the tool, you can join in our upcoming sessions. So let's meet after 15 minutes and we'll be here for another half an hour, wherein you can see how actually the requirement is being taken, what are important things you need to have it captured when you capture the data quality requirement. Thank you so much. We'll meet at 5:30. It's 5:35. So we are almost, it's 5:20 here. So 5:35 means Indian time, it will be 8 8:05. So we will meet at 8:05 IST if anybody is from India. And KSA time, we will meet at 5:35. We will go through the requirements capturing, and then we can close the session for the day. And once we have the environments and things ready, it will be good for all of us to do a simple implementation there. Anyone, any questions before you go for break? If you're back, kindly raise your hands. Okay, thanks, Minaj. Sama, Himanshu. Yes, okay, fine. So let's quickly wrap up today's session. Uh, we will quickly see the requirement gathering, what are the details we capture, what should be our requirement gathering template, because this is a very important exercise which analyst has to undergo. Uh, because they are the person who has to sit with business and capture the details, and details should be uh, enough that enough details which a technical person should get all the required information to develop the things. So as an analyst, I mean, I will just be creating the template in your presence here. So basically, the first thing which you need to capture is in a data quality project is the first essential concept which I explained to you, that is critical data elements. So critical data elements, what should I capture? Is it just the list of elements, or what are the other things related to critical data element which needs to be captured? So critical data elements is basically in IDQ, it can be captured. So the thing which is being written here in this Excel sheet, it's this Excel sheet becomes your working copy, which you can discuss and have meetings with different team members across the organization. But then when you log into your tool as an analyst, you will see something as business glossary. So business glossary is nothing but it's like an index, it's like a normal dictionary, but it doesn't have anything in that. It's you, the analyst, who has to keep on enriching that, updating that with all the critical data elements. When you start your project, maybe you do one small project, you come across some 5 or 10 or 15 critical data elements. So your business glossary will have those 15 critical data elements along with the rules which must be applicable for those critical data elements. So under critical data elements, what are the details should I capture? So I'll just put a heading here. Let's put it white and make it look little better. Okay. Few fields you need to capture because these are the fields which is important from the system's perspective. So first thing is I will just write CDE, that means critical data element name. The critical data element. This is what it is, basically the field name, the business field name, the important field names which business is interested in, and it is in their own language. When I say it is on their own language, what I mean is, like, for example, uh, ICAMA number. ICAMA number is one field, or national identity number. So here, if this is my critical element, I will just write national ID number. Maybe in the tables in the field, this is captured as ID underscore NO. This is not our purpose of this sheet, because we are data analysts, we are the data quality analyst. We don't bother about what this field is represented in the physical layer. So we don't write that. We always write in the information here, which anyone from the business can understand it very easily. Then next thing, what is the next important thing which you need to write now about what is critical elements and all? I'm not repeating here because we already discussed that. The next thing you have to know is what is the description. It's a short description. Description is very important. It is something which you write down after understanding I mean, the example I have given here, that doesn't, I mean, even if you don't write description, anybody can understand. But when you come to the actual business field name, then there is a very specific definition, and that definition matters a lot to the business. You cannot make something a generic description or anything. You have to make a proper description. So here, maybe for sake of example, I will write it is the national or resident ID number of an individual taking maybe some service name A, B, C. This is service from maybe your organization name. It can be W, X, Y. So what it means that, what is this national ID? It doesn't mean that national ID you will store whole 20, 30, 40 million people here. It is those people for who is taking so and so service, so that anybody who reads this understands very clearly the scope. They should know that what data set you are talking about. And this is the reason I am writing and explaining this description to you very clearly. So it should not be a it should not be a vague description. I could have written that national ID number means national ID number. There are many analysts and developers who work in this way. They will just write description same as name and they will proceed further, because they don't care much, because description means anybody can understand with the name also. But description actually has a value when you capture the business metadata. And what I am writing here is the business metadata, which needs to be captured very clearly during the requirement gathering. And you will understand importance of it when you close the project, when you discuss the project, when you test the project with the stakeholders. If you don't make the things clear in right at the requirement stage, when you move to the testing stage, when you move to the user acceptance testing stage, you will have lots of questions. And things, if you put things clearly in your document in the beginning, that will save your time, save your effort, and it will make the understanding clear between all the stakeholders. The next thing which is very important is the business owner. Who is the business owner for the field? So this, having business owner against every field is very important, because in last session I have already talked about something called shared data asset. If you talk at a entity level, when you talk at a data level, maybe there are some attributes which are managed by certain departments. For example, you have a company where it's a manufacturing company, you are having a supplier, and you have the whole chain. Then there is maybe some procurement department in your company who is uh, getting the details of the equipments which he is taking from so and so suppliers and all these things. Now at the time of purchase of the equipment, obviously there will be someone in the procurement department or in that particular role who has to capture what is the equipment name, what is the manufacturing country, what is the date of manufacture, and blah, all these things. They will be capturing all these things. Then comes the equipment maintenance information. Then obviously in that manufacturing unit, there will be some maintenance unit. So maintenance unit, they will be capturing some other informations related to equipment, maybe some meter reading kind of thing, maybe some usage kind of thing. I don't know. There can be many other things which are related to the maintenance. So if you see the whole life cycle of any asset which you purchase, then it doesn't mean that that asset will be managed by one single department. So onboarding or that asset or bringing that asset into organization is responsibility of one department. Using that is another department. Auditing that is another department. So multiple departments are there. So when you look into the data quality attributes for that, the critical attributes for that equipment, then obviously those attributes will belong to some attributes will belong to certain department, another attribute will belong to certain department. So everybody in the organization is responsible for data quality. This is a very important statement. You may come across this in future many times, that who is responsible for data quality of data asset for any organization. The answer is everyone in the organization, because everyone in, when the asset goes through any life cycle, or you talk about anything, the customer also has a journey within the organization. So be it any kind of data, it goes through certain journey, and in that journey within the organization, when the people start using the data of, using those data and operating on that data and all those stuff, there will be multiple owners who will be assigned to that. So you should have always a business owner associated with your field. So a field, first field may have certain business owner, another field may have another business owner, though it is related to same data set. So maybe business owner name, you can say Mr. any A, B, C, D. This is name of a person. So this is the person who is the business owner of this. Now, why critical? This is very important to record in your requirement, that when you have designated this element as a critical element of an organization after discussion with the stakeholders, then you should be, documenting the reason for its criticality. So it is application critical. Normally we do it in this way, so that your answers to this kind of field will be very, it will be in form of yes and no. Instead of writing why critical as the heading and then writing few paragraphs and sentences which could lead to ambiguity, so it is better that you always find out first the reasons for the criticality. We basically find out the standpoint for criticality of any field when we work for the data quality. So whether it is application critical, or if your organization is reporting to some regulatory, like a bank or financial institute reporting to SAMA, or a health insurance company or thing which is regulated, or things they have some linkage with requirement with CCHI or GOSI or something. They can be, there are many regulators around the world who keeps, for, and organizations always has regulator. So regulator is one reason for criticality of any element. So regulatory critical. That means it will tell you that from the regulatory perspective, this is very important for you, not from the application perspective. Likewise, you can have system critical. What do you mean by system critical? So application critical, I will just tell you business critical and system critical. So business and system critical, it is very easy to understand. Business critical means when you capture the information to run your operations, you can call this business as operations critical also. It's I'm just writing the better word for this so that it can help you to, exactly understand what I mean here. Operations critical. So operations critical, you understand this, that okay, for performing my business operation, this is important. System critical means, so when you develop any application or anything for your objectives, you will have certain technical fields, certain key fields which are important for application. If you remove those fields, or if you, it is mostly some code of values, lookups, this kind of thing. If you remove those things, I mean, business doesn't care about those lookups and codes and values. It's not related to business. It's related to the nature of the application itself. That application will fail without such kind of thing. So if there are such things, and you also have to make, I mean, that kind of thing also becomes a critical data element. For that also data quality has to be there. So it is system critical. So basically all this, and these are the minimum set of information. Apart from this, what information you can keep on adding here, like you can make here IDQ folder. That means in which folder you are saving this. Now, where you will not be able to fill this right away. These things you can fill because you will be discussing with the business. You will do this. Yes, yes, no, whatever. So if you are writing anything as critical, any one of the following should be yes. All cannot be no, and element is critical no. If all of them are no, then you should have another standpoint for saying that this is a critical element. Now IDQ folder means you can put the designated folder under which this glossary has to be saved. So this thing, it will come next when you go to the implementation stage. So you will put the IDQ folder name here, and then you will put the technical data steward, IDQ analyst, data quality analyst for this. And if you want, there's no need to put, but if you want, it is good that you put the technical. It is good for tracking that who is the technical spock who is responsible to build the ETL behind the data quality rule. So though it will be repetitive name, but if you grow in your business, if you grow in your unit, you will have lots of team member, and you will have to track every time that you will get questions from elsewhere. For each and every, you have to answer regarding the quality of each and every field. So that time it is very, very important for you that okay, what are the this is called business metadata around the field. And this business metadata, there is a separate system also in an organization to capture the business metadata, but it can be captured in IDQ also if you are not having such systems in the organization. So one example of such system in the organization, it is a Informatica product only, which is called Informatica Data Catalog. So in my yesterday's session, I already talked about data cataloging as one of the subject area of Dama wheel. So what this metadata management does is that it captures this business metadata of the organization, so that anybody who wants to know about the particular attribute, that who is the owner, what is the, whether it is a sensitive data, it holds sensitive data or not, or this has defined data quality rules. So all those metadata, we call it metadata. So all these properties about the critical data element is stored in the enterprise data catalog. But if you don't have, because every organization will not purchase these kind of system, it's only those mature organization or organization who does the business of data, they think that it is important to have a cataloging system. But if you don't have cataloging system, it doesn't mean that you don't have a place to store such thing. So data quality tool IDQ provides you something called business glossary. In the business glossary, you have to put all this information. After you have defined this, the next, maybe you can put CDE as one of the tab of the Excel sheet, critical data elements. The next sheet, which is important for you, and this is a communication medium between the business data quality analyst and the developers, which is known as DQ rule catalog. I cannot mix data quality rule with the first one. I could have added one field here and I could have written data quality rule, but I did not do that. There is a reason for that, because ideally when you create any data quality rules for a field, it doesn't mean that one field will have only one rule. It's very rare case that one field will have only one rule. One field can have many rules. For example, on national ID number, I can have more than one rule, two rule, three rule. It can be many rule. There are some business fields in the organization that it is so critical that you will have like more than 20, 30 rules just on the single field. And those 20, 30 rule, how the number of rule increases? Because if you have yes, yes, yes in all the areas from all the critical standpoint, that means everything is a requirement for you. System critical, who will tell you system critical? The IT people will tell you. When you go and discuss as a data quality team with the IT application custodians, they will tell you that what are important field. If this field is not available, then what would happen for the application? The application will not function, or it will throw some error. They will tell them. Regulatory related, you have the compliance department in your organization. If you sit with them, they will tell you 10 different rules around this. Maybe some rules will be common across, but most of the rules will be specific to the critical standpoint. Now operation, if you sit with the operational people, they will tell you their own story about these fields, and then they will give you 5 or 6 different rules. So what happens at the end of the day is that for a given field, this is the concept you have to understand in this session, that one field can have more than one data quality rule, and that is very, very normal. Okay. Now maybe I cannot recollect what kind of different rules can be there in this. So I'm just writing. So this is field name here, CDE name. Now here, when I'm writing C critical data element here, I will just write in terms of IDQ, what do we call this? In IDQ terms, we call this as the business field. I will tell you about it. Business term, sorry, business term. Business term in IDQ is nothing but the critical data element of an organization. Description you have already given here. Now you have to write rule specification or rule description. Description is better word, because when you go to configure the rule in IDQ, you will have a field where you have to write rule description. So maybe I am not writing space. Maybe you can write the national ID number should be 10 digit. This is one rule. Second, if ID type or nationality, if nationality is maybe, for example, Saudi, then it should start with 1. This is a rule. Very common rule here. With 1. Maybe third rule, it can come from anywhere, any other department. So let's say rule 3 for the time being. Something else. After rule description, make a note, error message. You have to write down what is the error message, because this is the message which you will give back to your source system. This is the message which you will give it to your management or to anybody to whom you are reporting the data quality issues. And this message should be clear and understandable and very to the point. It should not be like the person reads the message and he doesn't understand what you are talking about. So it should be very, very logical and clear. So simple terms I can write here. It should be 10 digit. So you can say that the it's a simple error message which you get. The you can length of, I'm just writing that. Maybe this is not an accurate error message, but this is something, at the time of requirement, you have to discuss with the business team. They will tell you the exact language what needs to be written here. Most of the time what we do is that we just provide them the template, we list them the field names, and then we tell them that please write down what error message you want to see here. So they will write in their own words, and then there will not be much rework and to and fro in terms of correcting the rule and all this. So you can say the length of the ID number should is incorrect, or maybe for all these rules they want to give one single message that ID number entered is incorrect. So it's all depends on the business what they want to do. So error message, the message which I want to give you here is that never mix error message with the rule description. Rule description is something that when you open the system, you understand that what I am checking. And error message is something which you give it. That means your system will throw this error if the data quality rule is violated. So you have to give such kind of things, and the nationality should start with one. You can give any. I'm not writing this because that is not my purpose of demonstration here. So I'm just writing error 2, error 3. So these are, the error messages you have to capture. What next? What has to be captured? The data quality dimension. This is something which is a work for the data quality analyst because the business will not tell you this. So you have to categorize your rules in terms of validity, completeness, accuracy, and so on. So this, as per your rule, it has to follow the relevant data quality dimensions. Okay. Then comes error weight. What is the error weight? Error weight is because if you have 3 rules for a field, then obviously all 3 will may or may not be something, maybe something like warning. It's a warning message which you want to provide to your stakeholder that if you correct, it is good to have. So maybe error weight, you will give it to 1. Usually the best practice of giving defining error weight is that you go and ask business and tell them to fill up whether it is critical or high or medium or low. This is very easy for the business to understand: critical, medium, high, low. But what data quality system, the IDQ understands is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you need to define here in IDQ that if anybody marks as critical, you will say it is 5. If it is 4, high, you can say 4. This is medium 3, low. So medium 3, low 2. And then if it is warning category, I'm just saying warning. You can say 1. It's okay. So you can say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 this way. Now, it depends on your understanding. It depends on the data governance team. You have to take this input right in the beginning of the project itself that, okay, when you start the data quality function and all, most of the time, these things are defined as part of the policies, procedures of the unit. So if it is not defined, you are in an organization where everything is built from scratch, then you are the person who has to give this understanding to the business, and at the end you need to write down these numbers here. The next thing which is critical and important to collect is the tagline. You will see importance of tagline. This is very important. Basically what happens is that in the scorecard, one thing I forgot to mention here, I will just put it. Okay, maybe after this, let's write rule here. Rule ID. So basically, it is identification number of the rule. You have seen the scorecard slide here, right? The slide for the scorecard, which we just saw here. Let me maximize this. See, if you don't have proper ID for the rule, that means one word for a rule, then this list here will look very ugly. You cannot have long sentences here that these rule and this, because rule description or error message will be very big. It can be a small paragraph, it can be a small sentence, but here you need one word for a rule. Most of the time what we do is that we just put rule underscore some codes, ABC related something. You need to work on the nomenclature of a rule, that how you want to define rule for the organization. So whatever you do, that is up to you. It's your choice. But as a technical need, you must have something called rule ID. So you must define a rule ID, and then you will say rule underscore national, something like this, national ID, something which will appear very good when you look at the scorecard or when you look at the profiling report or anything. So most of the time what we do is that we will just write rule national ID, and maybe we'll give some number 1, and then subsequently this will go 2 3 4. This is up to you. So this is the ID. So this rule ID is very important. Now when this rule ID is given in this page here, now anyone who will hover his mouse over it, he will want to see that what the rule description was. So there is some tagline, a feature IDQ provides you, which is the tagline. So maybe national ID number is 10, and the error message you are sharing is that ID number is incorrect. So you can put either the rule description, if it is a short description, you can put it as tagline also. That is also the option. Or if you have some more better ways of writing the tagline, so just to highlight, gives a small description to this code. Then what happens with this is that the person who logs into IDQ to view the scorecard, when he looks into the scorecard here, what he will do is that when he puts his mouse over the rule here, then a pop-up will appear with whatever tagline you have given for the rule. So this is the purpose of having tagline. Sometimes the developer will not configure these things when they configure the scorecards, because these requirements are something which is not known by business, and developer thinks that okay fine, the business doesn't know, so there is no need of giving these options to them, because it will delay, it will bring more thoughts, more meetings and everything. So but it is a best practice that if you are implementing, you have to implement all the features so that the end product looks good. So I have covered all these points like tagline, error weight, DQ dimension, error message, rule description, rule ID, this. Yes. Now comes the logic. Logic is something, if you are a technical person, you can write in some sort of some pseudocodes. If you are a very business oriented data quality analyst, you can write some simple sentences. Reading these sentences, the IDQ developer will actually understand what the rule is, and you will also understand what the rule is. So logic is something which is, you have to see that, and maybe you will write if the length national ID greater than 10 or less than, again length. This is up to you how you want to write. It is just a message, because the rule description cannot cover the entire logic in detail. So you have to write down the logic very clearly. So you are writing or less greater than 10 or length of national ID less than 10. So maybe you have certain more conditions. Maybe you want to write that if ID number is, if ID type is a national ID of Saudi Arabia, then only do this check. Otherwise, don't do this check. If ID type is a passport, you don't have to do this check. So maybe you can have numbers of uh, if and else conditions around the rules. You can filter. You can have some conditions related to filter, that maybe if this field is null, not about national ID, maybe apart from national ID, say for example the place where this person is residing, that place is not a mandatory field. But if the user provides value for the place, it is your data quality responsibility to validate that place name is correct. And if it doesn't provide, it's okay, null is null, it's there's no harm in that. In that case, you need to write in the logic field that if he provides this value, then you need to do this validation. If it is null, then leave it, you can call it as a valid record. So this is another important part, logic, which you have to mention it here. And then you can capture some audit fields. When I say audit fields, that means what is the last change date and all the update date. So these are basically rule creation date, update date, these are good to have. This is not a mandatory thing. But if you keep all these kind of things, audit field, even audit field is applicable on the top table, create date, update it. So you will have a traceability because over the period, data quality is a program. So the rules which you define is subject to modification. So whenever modification is in the question, that means update reason and also for traceability purpose, you need to maintain all these things. Update reason and maybe the technical people, technical spock and all these things, you can mention it over here also. Because most of the time technical spock you mention at the critical data element level, the person is responsible for entire rule of that element. Or if you want to distribute it across multiple people, that this and that, it's all up to how you want to have your team set up and how the requirement gathering happens. So these ones in blue, you have to understand that these are important things when you catalog your rule. And these are the important things when you catalog your critical data element. And this ends the business metadata of the data quality. Now, further to this, I mean, with these 2 days sessions, I believe you have quite a good level of understanding, at least of what IDQ is as well. It's not only about what data quality and data management. Now you know how to take the requirement of data quality and what are the features of the Informatica data quality tool. Sorry, I had a plan for showing you the IDQ tool itself today, but for some reason the license which we got for the training purpose from Informatica, that was delayed, and we just completed the download of the server and everything. So this will take time for installation and proper setup of the training environment. But we will keep it in our mind that in the subsequent sessions in the coming week, we will have one session where we can demonstrate the tool itself. And obviously, I mean, though, for those who has attended this course, this was our, I mean, for the first time we have started the webinars and all these things. And I would like to especially thank everyone who joined yesterday and the participants who have joined today as well. So this shows your interest in this subject. And seeing your interest, I will be more than happy to especially invite you all for my next session, which will be on the data quality tool itself. And I mean, we are looking forward to meet again. So you can give us your feedback through the chats or the email to uh, our partner. And thank you very much once again. So if you have anything from your side, you can share. If you have any confusion, questions, you can share with me, or else we can end the session. Okay. So have a nice weekend, rest remaining hours, and see you in the next webinars. Thank you.